With audio, everything boils down to recording and post-production. And for the sake of simplicity, for now I'm going to leave out stuff like pre-production and deliverables. Recording, that's easy, that's what's happening on a day. Post-production means everything that happens after, and that's editing, mixing, and mastering. I'm Mike Migas, and today I'll be talking about software that I use for podcast production. Recording, that depends on the context. Are you recording on a location? Is it just one host, or are there more people involved? Are they sitting in the same room? Is it a remote recording? Depending on your situation, that's how the decisions about your setup will be taken. And ideally, recording and post-production follow the same rules and are done to the same specifications in the same software. That's not necessary, but it just makes life easier. My specialty is in post-production. I don't do much recording, I do some, but this room is not designed for recording. I do stuff like YouTube or behind the scenes of Casefile, bonus content, or recording Skype interviews. The actual recording of Casefile and any other shows happens somewhere else and then it's sent to me online. So for example, Casefile is recorded in Apple Garageband, and that's how I received the session. But it doesn't really matter because if the show's recorded in a software different to mine, I would still export the files as uncompressed waves and then import them into my templates. For podcast production, I use software from 3 companies. And for now, again, for simplicity, I'm going to leave out music composition element. Everything I do is done in Avid Pro Tools. And when I was studying, I played around in Ableton, Apple Logic, Cubase, Sonar, but it was about 7 years ago when I got a job at the movie studio. I've realized that in every top audio professional facility, they use one program, and that's Pro Tools. And you'll see Pro Tools in broadcasting, in music recording studios, movie sound, to some extent game audio as well. So when I left my job 4 years ago and transitioned to podcasts, I stuck with Pro Tools. Within Pro Tools, I don't use any native plugins, and for mixing and mastering, I pretty much solely rely on stuff from iZotope. I always upgrade to the latest version, and I try to keep my templates simple. Back when I was a student, I had Waves bundles and tens of other plugins, but with time I learned that I work best when I just master a few of these rather than be paralyzed by choice. For mixing, I use Neutron, and that's set on pretty much every channel. And what I love about their plugin technology is not only the assistance, but that with every iteration, it becomes more CPU efficient. I also use Nectar, but it's more of a cosmetic thing that I use for control of sibilance. On most of my tracks, I have Tonal Balance, and that also sits on a stereo mix bus and master track. And Tonal Balance just gives me insight in how the frequencies are stacking up. I use reverb from Untitled, and again, it's more of a subtle thing rather than creative, but it's enough for podcasting. If I was doing more sound design, I would probably buy and invest in convolution reverb from Altiverb, for example, or Stratus series from iZotope. And of course, on my master track, I have Ozone from iZotope again, and it's just an essential tool for mastering, both powerful and quite easy to use. To sum it up, in my studio, I use Avid Pro Tools as my main workstation audio software, with help from iZotope plugins and reverb from Eventide. It's somewhat boring, but I find that simplicity works best for what I do, for my work, and I don't really venture into sound design territory that much. Also, mixing, mastering is pretty straightforward for podcasting, but we'll get to that in the future. That's it for today. If you have any questions about my setup, let me know in the comments below. I'm Mike Migas from Migas Production. Share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you later.